if somebody's already on Office 365, the
Yeah,
commercial license, conventional E3 or E5 or license or something of that nature, and
yeah.
they want to move to let's start with, and I know you don't want this to happen, but they want to stay fully on Office 365. What has to happen? What do they need to do? Tell me a little bit about how that works. What are some of the issues? What are some of the challenges? If you can give us an idea, what does it take to migrate? If you know anything about costs and things of that nature, give us an idea what that would look like.
I think that, first of all, if you are on O365, if you'd go to Microsoft, and what Microsoft would say to you is, look, in order for you to be CMMC compliant, you need to go and migrate to GCC High, because that's how we can comply with all the regulations on data access, data forensics. And on the GCC cloud, we have the ability, GCC High cloud, we have the ability to do so. So the steps that are involved in a simplified manner work something like this, that they would, the organization says, I want to explore my options. They'd come to hopefully a person or an entity like you, and you'd say, please guide us. And so first thing is that there's a few, GCC High resellers, and they would set up a consulting agreement. And so they would essentially say, look, you got to rip O365 and replace it with GCC High. And so there's a roughly somewhere between 4 to 6 months of consulting, time period. It costs approximately, $50,000 to $100,000 to do that consulting. And so the organization then determines, what do I need to do a cutoff from, my O365 to GCC. And once you've determined it, you've looked at your systems, then the migration will occur. And at that point, you are now, instead of storing your emails and files on commercial cloud, now you're storing them on GCC High Cloud. And, you have now paved the path to be compliant with, CMMC. So if you are following the path of, the recommended path from Microsoft, that's what the sequence of, steps looks like.
Yeah, does that, that's a big number, and honestly seems a little illogical to me. I mean, it feels like I'm just migrating from one data center to another. But that being said, things cost money. Will that differ a lot if I'm let's say I'm a 5-person company? I mean, is somebody going to charge me 50 grand or 30 grand to migrate a 5-person company from O365 to O365 GCC High?
Well, I can't comment much on whether if that number is, in that zip code, if you're a 5-person company, but I certainly know that, if you are in the 25, person or above, you're looking at a minimum of $30,000.
So even that small, even that
small,
you're talking about that much of a cost?
It's a big cost.
Okay.
And that's going to be the heart of what we're going to be discussing, and that's just the way it is. So there's a major problem if you're a small company. If you're a big company, you're 1,000 people and so forth, you kind of look at it as this cost of doing business. It's still a huge disruptive headache, but you're more apt to be able to swallow that kind of number. But it is simply unacceptable, choice when it comes to a 10, 20, 30, 40-person company.